serve as CEO of Give Fitness Health Club in Atascadero. That's my probably most well-known role. And then I also own a consulting business where I do business consulting locally in Atascadero, and I also do executive coaching in a one-on-one setting for executives.
Go ahead and tell me, this is kind of a broad question and then we'll narrow it down, but why do you think you would be a good fit for mayor for Atascadero?
That is a broad question. I'm born and raised in Atascadero, so I've been there my whole life. Feels weird to say there because I'm not there right now, but here in Atascadero. And very connected in the community. I'm really passionate about the community, and I feel like I know the community. Obviously, that's kind of what every candidate will likely say. I just feel like I have a good pulse on, the community needs and wants and where we need to go. And, my experience in business has really exposed me to the reality that you can't make everyone happy. I run a very public facing business with a lot of members, and you have to make decisions and you can't please everyone, but I've learned and found that if you are intentional about making sure that everyone at least feels heard and has a voice in a process, and then you make a decision and are able to stand by it and justify it or defend it or explain it, and then you generally get a pretty sense of understanding and acceptance from that. And so that's really where I'm landing with Atascadero. I feel like we need a stronger Atascadero, stronger leadership. A strong Atascadero for me is driven by a strong economy and being able to bring businesses into Atascadero, make decisions, do the hard work, and stand behind them and defend them.
Great. So on to my next question. What are some of the biggest issues that you think is happening within the city at this current moment?
Yeah. Well, the buzzwords economic development, right? But for me, that's just Atascadero needs revenue. We are an income-starved city, and I'm a big advocate, and I would be in support of exploring the pre-existing revenue streams that are available to us prior to taxing our residents. And that's kind of the crossroads we're at right now. Our current leadership put a 1% sales tax increase on the ballot, through the lens of, hey, we're an income-starved city. And while I agree on that, I think the need for this tax stems from, collective failures on our leadership's part to bring in revenue, to do economic development, to bring jobs into our town, to get people spending money in Atascadero. And so I think that is absolutely possible, and we can do that. But again, that's where I come back to, that's going to take a shift in our approach, a shift in our reputation, a shift in our leadership. That's primary. That's issue number one for me. The really close second, we could argue back and forth and make a case, but there is a homelessness crisis right now, both at the state level, but specifically in Atascadero. Big issues going on with we try to make a distinction between, our homeless population and our transient community, but we have a lot of unhoused people in Atascadero, and we don't have any infrastructure in place that really allows us to try to mitigate that issue. The Boise, Idaho ruling that has kind of had ripples throughout the country prevents us from being able to displace daytime camping in some of our, downtown areas. And that's per Chief Haley, that is the biggest challenge that our police department is experiencing right now. So as I look at it and try to develop a strategy there, I think, if we were to bring in some kind of navigation center or, warming cooling shelter that can be a facility 365 days a year, that gives us some infrastructure now where APD can come and, enforce that daytime camping in some of those more visible areas. It creates a location that we can now direct people towards. And then at that location, we can, partner with nonprofits, county, and provide services for the people that are ready and able to make progress toward getting off the street. So those are, for me, the biggest issues that are currently facing Atascadero, and where I want to look and, try to create solutions.
Right. And going off of the homelessness issue, Echo Homeless Shelter, that has to be a major resource for your community, though. Does it help? Or are you saying that you need more than that?
Yeah, Echo is a great resource for our community. Echo is a nonprofit, so there's not technically an official relationship between Echo and the city.
Mhm.
The city does get community development block grants every year. It's federal money that funnels through the county to the city, and I think that's a huge opportunity for us to look at those funds, maybe it's allocating more of those funds towards Echo, or maybe it's using those funds toward what I was just talking about, establishing a navigation center or a shelter. But absolutely, Echo is a partner in the battle against homelessness. They have a 60% success rate when they get for a resident, right? So an Echo resident in their program, they have a 60% success rate of getting them into permanent housing, which is phenomenal. So where I stand with that is yes, we need more. If we could have 2 Echoes or 3 Echoes, and we could service more people that way, then that's a win. So
Great.
absolutely, I'm a big fan of Echo. Wendy Lewis, the president and CEO, is doing a phenomenal job. Her and we talk quite a bit. So yeah.
Great, great. Um, so since you're a businessman, and we already talked about homelessness, and that was my next question going off of that, but you already addressed that's one of
Okay.
the major issues and how you would address it. But how do you plan to support small businesses, especially with the pandemic? I'm sure so many businesses in Atascadero, like every other restaurant, salon, gym, firsthand that they have been directly impacted. They've lost so much money. How do you kind of help them rebound them if you're elected as mayor? What are you going to do to help those businesses, guide them, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it. Small businesses are getting crushed right now. It's devastating, and we're one of them. We've been closed since March. We were able to open for just a short period of time and had to close back down. And in all honesty, I've been really disappointed. We haven't heard a lot from our city leadership. Well, I mean, the short version is I am an advocate for getting us back open. So I think that, we know a lot more about the virus now. And we know a lot about the impacts this is having, right? We've given so much care and concern to the kind of medical and health side of this, and we haven't paid a lot of attention to the economic impacts, the social impacts. I mean, we've got domestic violence is up, depression is up, suicide is up. I really think we need to get kids back in school. We need to get businesses back open. And that starts at the local level of our city leadership standing up and saying, this is what we think needs to be done. I think we can do that in a very responsible way and still have protocols in place. I mean, if we can go to the grocery store, wear a mask and stand in line, I think that people should be able to have the choice to be able to eat inside of a restaurant or work out inside of a gym, and we need to give people their personal freedoms back. So to me, that's step one of supporting small businesses is strong leadership standing up and saying, let's get you open. And what do we have to do to help facilitate that? On top of that, I think continuing to create an attractive environment in Atascadero where we're inviting people in and we're creating that space for them to come and spend money. We're traditionally a bedroom community, and we need to get people spending their money in Atascadero. We have a notorious reputation for being somewhat difficult to work with, and I think that that's an opportunity to just shift that narrative again, shift that reputation and approach, and say, no, look, we are here to truly partner with the business community. What can we do to help make you successful? Where in our systems and processes can we streamline things and make it easier for you? And that's kind of, I call it like a cultural issue. Just, if you're taking it to the business world, it's like, hey, well, what's your company culture? What's the climate? And I think that that's something that starts at the top, and we infiltrate that all the way through, city staff to the receptionist at the front desk that, understand we're here to partner. That's our job as a city, is to say, what can we do to help you and to get things moving in a really positive direction. And our small business community needs that more than ever right now. So
Any dialogue on that or any initiative on your end? I don't know if that can even, I mean, I think it could be changed by you, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
yeah, I mean, roads is a really big challenge for Atascadero. We have a lot of them.
You
And yeah, and like I said, we're a revenue strapped city, so it's a challenge. The F-14 tax measure has been beneficial to that. I have sat and learned the whole process of the CPI index and the way that Public Works goes about fixing those roads. And for people that don't know that, that's a great learning opportunity, because it gives you some insight as to how we make the decision as to which roads get repaired. And it's not always the worst road, which is kind of surprising. But it's where you can get the most cost effective bang for your buck, in repairing or preventing a road from getting to a certain space. So I think we're doing probably as good of a job as we can right now when it comes to roads. We're going to be looking, it's already slated for 2021 and 2022 to have a general plan update and some zoning revisions and some of those things. So I'd imagine there might be some opportunity to look at, roads as part of that process. And if I'm in there having those conversations, then I'd welcome that opportunity also.
Great. Last question here. Why are you the best choice for mayor compared to the other candidates in the current mayor in office?
I mean, so that's kind of like what we were saying when I got broke up the first time, is the beauty of this process is, all three of the mayoral candidates, including myself, feel like we represent a certain portion of the community and a certain demographic of the community. I feel like I have a lot of different circles in our community, and I'm connected with a lot of different groups and demographics. And, me being a young business person, a family man, I don't necessarily see my representation on our current council. And so for me, I feel like I would bring strong leadership, strong decision making, the ability to have difficult conversations, because that's really what it is. It's facilitating conversations. The mayor is still just one of 5 on a council, and there's often 5 potentially different opinions, and we need to navigate that and find the solution that best fits for our community in Atascadero. And I feel like I bring the ability to do that to the table. So yeah, I don't know if that fully answers the question, but that's my answer.